Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a car spawner on Roblox, so you can pay money to buy a car and then you can spawn it. Let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to insert a leaderboard script which will control the amount of cash that each player has in the game. So we're going to click on this little plus icon next to server script service, and then we're going to click on script. And once we've done that, we're going to do a player added event. So you need to type game.players.playerAdded : connect function PLR, just as it is shown on screen. Now, what will happen is when a player joins the game, there will be any code inside of this little event here will run. And you can see it says PLR. This is the player that's going to join the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert something called leader stats, and inside of there we're going to put all of their cash and maybe other values in there later. So what we're going to do is we're going to say local leader stats equals instance dot new open bracket close bracket, and then in these speech marks we're going to say int value, or actually we can say folder, it doesn't matter, it could be a model, it could be a folder, but we need to call these leader stats all in lowercase. So we're going to say leader stats dot name equals, and then in speech marks, leader stats, just like this. And it has to be lowercase and it has to be spelt correctly, else the cash won't show up on your screen. We then need to put these leader stats in the player, so we're going to say leader stats dot parent equals PLR. You always have to put the parent, you have to specify the parent of the object at the end once you've got all the properties done. So now that we've got our leader stats, we need to insert a cash object. So we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to drop a line. I'm going to say local cash equals instance.new open bracket close bracket, and then in these speech marks we're going to say cash, or if you want yours to be called money or something else, change cash to money. Okay, so what we've done, we need to actually call this an int value, and then down here we can say cash.name equals, and then in speech marks we can call it cash. So we have to say that it's an int value because it's going to carry a number, and then we give it a name. And let's give the player a number of cash, so we can say cash.value equals, and then we'll give them 500 cash to start off with. Now I have a data saving tutorial, so if you want to save your data in game, you can watch that. It will be in the card in the top right corner of the screen. But now we should have our cash, our leaderboard. So let's just go and play the game, and hopefully we should have our leaderboard in the top right corner. And I just realised we need to put the cash inside of the leader stats, so we can say cash.parent equals leader stats, and then if we go and play the game, the leaderboard should be in the top right corner. There we go. So now we've got our currency system done, we can start making the purchase GUI. So what we're going to do is we're going to first create a folder in replicated storage called folder. Okay, and we're going to call this cars. And once we've done that, we're going to drag this into server storage. We're going to get our cars. So if you've got some cars already, make them a model, make sure they're a model, and just drag them inside this server storage. I'm going to get some cars from free models. We're going to take an army car, a transporter, and a basic car, as well as an off-roader. And you can see they've all got names. You need to make sure they've got a name, and then you're just going to drag them all into server storage like that. Now let's get started by designing our GUI. So I'm going to click on Starter GUI, I'm going to click on the plus, then I'm going to click on Screen GUI, and I'm going to call this Purchase GUI. Once you've done this, we're going to insert a frame, so we're going to click the plus and click frame, and then what we can do is we can change the size of it. If you want, I'm going to change mine to 500 by 400, and then I'm going to put it in the middle of the screen by changing the position to 0.5, negative 250 as the offset, and 0.5 is the scale for the vertical. And we're going to do offset of minus 200 as that's half of the scale. And now the GUI is in the middle of our screen. So what we want to do now is, well, actually you can make the GUI look a bit better if you want. I'm going to change the style to drop shadow because it looks more professional and much nicer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to insert an image button into our GUI. In fact, we're going to do an image label instead, and then we will do a button underneath it. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this image label car for now, and then what we're going to do is we're going to just move it so that it's just away from the edges of our GUI. So we can say 0.1 and we can say 0.1 for the horizontal and vertical positions, and this will just put it a little bit out from the border. So once we've done that, we're going to insert a text button inside of there, and we're going to set the scale of this. We're going to set the size to 10.025, and then we can click a button. We can click on the text property of this button, and we can change it to say purchase. And then we're going to click text scaled, and we're going to change the font to bold. Now you can also change the style of this if you want. I'm going to have a look at what there is, and I'm going to change my... Actually, I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to keep it to custom. I'm going to make the background colour a little bit green though, so we can see that it is a purchase button. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the position to 120. We're just going to set it to 1 actually, so that it's underneath the image label. So we've got our picture of our car. We will put the image of it in the image label soon, and we've also got our text button. So you may have multiple cars in your game, so if you have more than one car, just copy this image label and paste it, and then you can change the position to, let's see, 0.4. So I just added 0.3 onto the position, and you can see it's moved across. I'm going to add another one. I'm going to change it to 0.7. And then you can, if you want even more, what you can do is you can just copy another one. So I'm going to copy the first one, and I'm just going to change the vertical position to not 0.4. Let's change it to 0.5 so that it's just underneath the first button. So I've got 4 cars, so I'm going to have 4 different buttons. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the pictures for our image labels. So we're just going to click visible. We're going to uncheck it so that we can take some pictures. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the toolbox, and because I've already got pictures of my cars here, I can just screenshot them and then I can just upload them to Roblox. But if you've got your own custom cars, you can just drag your cars out of this folder into the workspace, and then you can just take some pictures of them. So I will just take a screenshot of this, and then I'm going to copy it, and I can upload it to Roblox. Okay, so I've got all of my images uploaded to Roblox. I uploaded them by going to the Create tab, and then I click on Decals, and then I can just select all of my images and upload them. So I'm going to get the ID from each decal on the website. So you just go to your decal, and in the website link there is a number. That is the ID of the decal, and you just want to paste them into this property down here. We're going to make the frame visible, and then we're going to select each car, and we're going to paste in our IDs. So here's my first one, and there we go. We have our car. I'm now going to get the off-roader, and we're going to put it in here on the next one. So you just need to put all of your images in here. So I'm now going to get the normal red car, and that's going in. And we're going to have the army truck, and I'm going to put the ID in here. So there we go. We've got all of our 4 cars now in our GUI. Now what we need to do is we need to click on each image label, and we need to name this image label the same name as the car's name. So this is the, let's have a look. I think it's the van. Yep, so this blue car is called van. So I'm going to select this image label. I'm going to go to the name property and I'm going to change it to van. I'm going to click on enter. Then I'm going to go to the next one, which is the off-roader. And we're going to name it exactly the same. So off-roader, because that's how it's spelt up here. It has to be the same name as the model. Then we're going to go to the next one, which is the red car. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change the name of this image label to car, but it's already set to car because that's what we called it earlier. And we can go to the last one, which is called the army truck. So we're just going to click on enter, and we've got all of our image labels named. So what we need to do now is begin scripting our cars. So what we need to do, we need to work out how much each car should cost. So maybe one should be more expensive than the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into each model of our car here and we're going to insert a value called price. Now what we do, we're going to search for an int value and we're going to click on it. And where is it? There we go. It's called value and we're just going to change this to price. Now you can put your own price number in here. I'm going to set this one to 500 and then I'm just going to copy this value. I'm going to close down the army truck and I'm going to paste it into the car and I'm going to change the price of the car to 200 and then we can just close that down, paste it into the off-roader and change the price of that. I'm going to set this one to 1000 and then what we're going to do is we're just going to do the same thing in the van. I'm going to change the van to 750. So they've all got different prices and their price int value has been added into the cars. What we need to do now is we need to put a text label into each image label which shows the price of the cars. Okay, so we're going to just change this to 50. And we can set this one to 20. I'm going to change the background transparency to 0.5 and I'm going to click on text scaled. Now we can put price as the text and then we can insert a local script into here and later on we will be able to display the price of the cars as we will script that later on. So we're just going to leave this text label in here for now. We can call it price label and we will deal with that later on. So now it's time to start scripting the buying of the car. Now because this is going to be filtering enabled compatible, we can't put the prices of the cars on in the GUI because if a hacker joined the game they could change the prices to whatever they want. So we have to keep the prices on the server and the prices are inside the trucks which are hosted on the Roblox servers, so hackers can't change the prices. But this means that we have to use something called a remote function to get the price from the server and send it back to us just to tell us how much it costs. So I did a video on remote functions. If you want to learn more about them, I'll put a card in the top right of the screen. But what we're going to do is we're going to insert a remote function into replicated storage and we're going to call it check price. Okay, and then what we can do is we can go into our text button. We're going to change the name of it to buy button and we're going to insert a local script into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to have another event here, and this event is called the mouse button one click event. Sorry. So what will happen is when a player clicks on the GUI button, the event will run and we can make them purchase the car. So we can say script.parent because that's the button, and then we say dot mouse button one click connect open bracket function open bracket close bracket, and then we can just drop a line. So anything inside of this event will run when the player clicks on the button. So what we want to do is we want to check if the player has enough money to buy this vehicle. So we're going to want to send a request to this remote function, which is going to check the price of the car, and it's going to send it back to us so we can check to see if they have enough money. So what we can do is we can say check price. Actually, we can say price of item equals game.replicated storage, and then we can say colon wait for child. We can say check price inside these speech marks, and then we can say colon invoke server. Okay, and we're going to put in speech marks the name of the car. And so the name of the car is equal to the name of the image label. So we can just say script.parent.parent.name, because script.parent.parent is this image label and it's called van. So we are sending the name of the car that we want to check the price of. And what this is going to do is it's going to return back that price as this variable. So this variable will be a number. We're just going to make this local as well. What we need to do now though is we need to actually script this remote function that when it gets the request, it knows that it's going to check the price of the car and it's going to send it back to us. So to do this, we're just going to say game.replicated storage colon wait for child, and then in speech marks we can say check price, and then what we're going to say is dot on server invoke. So when the server has been invoked by the client wanting to know how much a car is, we're then going to say equals function, and then we're going to have a set of brackets, and then we can say inside of here player comma, and then we can say name of car. Okay, so the player has to be automatically defined, and the client will send over the name of the player who called this this remote function, and we've also got our parameter, which is the name of the car. And remember how in the local script we're sending script.parent.parent.name? Well, that is going to be the name of the car. So what we can do is we can drop a line here, and you can see it's added in an end. Now all we need to do to send back how much this car costs to the script, we just need to say return game.serverstorage.cars colon find first child, and then because all the cars are going to be inside this folder, they're currently in the workspace, but we can move them into this folder now because we don't need them. And what we're going to do, we're just going to put speech marks. Actually, we're not going to put speech marks. We're just going to write a name of car. Okay, and then we can just say dot price dot value, because we've got that value called price, which we added in earlier on into the cars. We're just finding that value, and we're going to send over back to the local script the value of that price object. So if it was 500, it would be returning 500. So let's go and test this out in the command bar. So we click play, and let's just print down here in the command bar. We're going to say game.replicatedStorage.checkPrice invoke server car with the name car. We want to check the price of the car, which is called car, which is the red car. And we're going to print that. Okay, so let's go and invoke that, and you can see it has returned back 200 because the red car in server storage, the red car had a price value of 200. Let's try this with the off-roader. You can see it's sent back 1000 because the off-roader's price value is 1000, just like that. So our remote function is ready to go, and we can now return back the price of the item. Okay, so the price of the item will be the value, which will be returned. So just imagine that that's 500 or 1000 or however much the car costs. So we need to check if the user can afford this car. So we're going to say if game.players.localplayer.leaderstats.cash.value is greater than or equal to the price of the item, so if they have just enough or more, then we can put a comment saying that the player has enough cash. So we're going to deduct the cash from their account because they've just purchased it. So we can say game.players.localplayer.leaderstats.cash dot value equals, we're going to just copy and paste the same thing because we want to get their current value and we want to take away the price of the item. Okay, so now their account has been deducted by the amount of how much this car costs, and now they have officially purchased this car, and now they're able to spawn it in. Okay, so what's going to happen is when the player first purchases it, there's going to be a value inside of the image label, and we're going to click on the plus here, and we're going to click on bool value. Okay, and we're going to then change the name to purchased. So have they already purchased it or not? If they haven't already purchased it, then if they buy it, then it's not going to spawn. But if they click it again after they've already bought it, then the car will spawn. So what we're going to do is we're going to head into the script here, and if they've bought it, we're going to say script.parent.purchased.value equals true. So we know that they've now purchased it. And we also, in this if statement, we want to say if they have enough money, and script.parent.purchase.value equals false. So if they haven't already bought it, then we'll let them buy it. And we also then want to say at the top of this script, if script.parent.purchase.value equals true, then. Okay, and you can see we've got this end added in here. We're going to copy that and we're going to paste it right at the bottom of the script, like this. And then we're just going to highlight everything inside this if statement and click on tab, just to indent it and make it look nice and neat. Okay, so what we want to do here is if they've already purchased it, we want them to be able to spawn it. So we're going to add an else here, because inside of this else, then we're going to let them purchase it because they haven't already purchased it, because it will be equal to false. So we're going to say let them purchase it. But if the value is set to true and they've already purchased it, then we want to spawn this car. So to spawn the car, what we're going to do is we're going to have a remote event in replicated storage. So let's click on the plus and click on remote event, or let's type it in. We're then going to give it a name called spawn car, and we're going to then say game.replicated storage .spawn car :fire server, and then we can say script.parent.name, because that is the name of the car. The name of the image label is the same as the name of the car, so we can just call this remote event and we can say, okay, spawn in the car which has this name. We now need to go back into our main script on the server, and we need to create another event for this remote event. Don't forget to save your work if you haven't already. Just click on the save button up here and it's going to save your work. Okay, so we're going to drop a few lines in this main script, and then we're going to say game.replicated storage, and then we can say :wait for child, and then in speech marks we're going to say spawn car, like this, and then we can say .on server event :connect open bracket function open bracket close bracket, and then we're going to have player as our first parameter and name of car as the second one. So what we can do now is we can drop a line, and we want to spawn the car next to the player. So what we're going to do is we're going to say game. Actually, we need to first get the car from the cars folder. So we're going to say local car equals game.server storage .cars :find first child, and then in speech marks we're gonna not in speech marks, we're just gonna say name of car, like this. Okay, so we've got the car out of server storage, and we now want to just put colon clone like this. So we've made a clone of it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to change the C-frame of the car so that we can move it just next to where the player is. So to do this, we can just say car colon set primary part C-frame, and then we can do in brackets player dot character dot humanoid root part dot C-frame plus vector3 dot new open bracket close bracket 0, 0, 15. And make sure that your C frame has a capital C and a capital F. And the reason that we add the extra vector3 dot new 0, 0, 15 is so that it doesn't spawn on the player, but it spawns just a few studs away from them. And we're setting the primary part C frame of the model, so you need to make sure that your car has a primary part. So you need to, if you're to check if it has a primary part, you need to open up the properties window and click on your model, and if there is something in the primary part here, then that's all good, you have a primary part. If it doesn't, you need to click it, and you need to then find any part inside this model. You should use the driving seat though, and just click it to add that primary part. If you don't have a primary part, it won't work because that's what we're moving, and if there isn't a primary part, then it won't be able to be moved. So make sure you've got your primary part, and then after that what we're going to do is we're going to put the car in the workspace by saying car.parent equals workspace, and then to stop it from breaking up when it gets in the workspace, we're going to say car colon make joints, so that it doesn't fall apart. So let's go and try this out. Let's click on the play button, and I'm going to call the event down here from the command bar to just test it. We'll click enter, and our car has been spawned in. So there we go. We've got our car and we're almost ready to go. Okay, so there we go. We have our buy button, and what we're doing is we are going to spawn the car if the player has already bought it. What we're also going to do is we're going to head back into the main script, and we're just going to say car.name equals, and then we can say player.name ... and then we can say in speech marks an apostrophe s, and then we can do another 2 dots, and we can say name of car. Now what this will do is it will set the car's name to the player's names and then the name of the car. So for example, if we just go and run this again, the car has spawned in, but it's called Alvin Blox's car. Now let's just go and put a space after this S, so that now there should be 2 words and it should be called Alvin Blox's car. There we go. So you can see the car has spawned in and it's been called Alvin Blox's car because I am the person who spawned it in. Now all we need to do is we need to make this work for all the other cars. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this local script and we're just going to paste it into the text buttons here. We're going to paste it into every single one. And we also want to make sure that we copy this purchased value and we paste it into each image label as well. So now that we've done that, we should be able to purchase some cars. Now make sure that you just go into the server script service, into the script, and you give yourself enough cash to be able to purchase the cars. And there we go. Let's try and purchase the red car. So I'm going to click on purchase, and now if we click it again, we should have spawned it, and there we go. Now if we try and spawn it again, we can spawn it in as many times as we like because we've purchased it. And we can go and try and buy another car. So we can just keep buying all of these cars until we run out of money. But make sure that you don't spawn them on top of each other, else they will go a little bit messy like that one over there. There we go. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we want to click on the purchase GUI and make sure that reset on spawn is unchecked. Otherwise, if the player resets, they're going to have to buy the vehicle all over again. So make sure that that's unchecked, and then we're also just going to do one last little addition to the script. We're going to make it show on the text label whether you've bought it or not and whether you can spawn it. Okay, so to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to change the text of the buy button. So we're going to say script.parent.text equals spawn, just like that. Okay, and that's all we need to do. Let's go and test this out on the van. So we click purchase and then it says spawn, and if we reset, because we unchecked reset on spawn, it should say stay as spawn, and we should be able to spawn it in as many times as we like. Okay, it did not, it reset. That was because reset on spawn was checked. Let's go and uncheck it and try it again. We click it once, it says spawn, and if we reset, it should stay as spawn on our screen. There we go, and we're able to spawn it in again. So there we go. We are now just going to update this again by taking this local script, copying everything inside it, and updating it for every other buy button. Okay, so that is the purchasing side done, and let's just go ahead and just show the prices of the cars like we were doing at the start of the tutorial. So this is very simple. All we need to do is we can just go back to one of our buy button scripts, and we can take the price of item code here, and we can just go back to the price label script and paste that in. So we've now got the price of our item. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a quick wait here, just to make sure that everything's loaded and ready. And then what we can do is we can say script.parent.text equals price of item. Now if we go and run the game, the price should show up, and there we go, $7.50 is the price. And if you want to add a little $sign in there, you can just add speech marks, add your $sign in, and then put 2 dots to concatenate this together and have the price with it. So let's just go and run it again, and there we go, $750 is how much it costs. So let's go back to this price label, and we're going to just copy the price label and paste it into all of the image labels. Remember, if you have more than 4 cars, you'll need to do this for every single car you add in. And I think that should be the end of the tutorial. I think that is, yep. Yeah. Oh wait, no, we need to add a close button for our purchase GUI. We need to have a special button which will open and close it. So we can just add a text button here. Let's scroll down and let's call it open/close. Actually, let's call it car spawning. And we'll click text scaled. We'll just put it in the middle of the screen vertically by saying 0.5 and -25. And let's insert a quick local script in here. And let's say script.parent.mouse button 1 click, :connect, open bracket, function, open bracket, close bracket. And then we can say script.parent.frame.visible equals not. And then we can just take this and copy it and paste it in again. And what this will do is it will invert the current status of the frame visibility. So if it's currently set to true, it will be set to false, and if it's set to false, it will be set to true, because we use this not to invert it. Let's go and test this out and click play, and there we go. We can open and close the GUI, we can purchase all of our cars, and if we don't have enough money, let's go and just change our money to 0. We shouldn't be able to spawn the cars. Yep, there we go. We're not allowed to spawn them, only when we have enough money. So there we go. We have just created a car spawner GUI in Roblox Studio. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please leave a like, leave a subscribe, and if you want to see more videos from me, please click on that notification bell so you're always notified when a new tutorial comes out. Make sure to share the video with friends as well. This is Alvin Blocks telling you to keep scripting.